Show, where the mind, body, and heart meet the soul. Today we're going to be talking about how to respond to negative people, and you know what I'm talking about, whether it be someone you just met that just rubs you the wrong way, or that family member that seems to always have something negative to say, often your mother. We're going to address that and how to let those kinds of things not affect you, because this is about you and not about them, but that's going to be something we're going to get to. First, I want to get to tell you, I've got these great new courses up on my website that I can't wait for you guys to see. I have a mastermind, which is a big, powerful course, which is amazing. Those of you that really want to level up, I've sought divine guidance on creating this multi-level course that involves videos and ebooks and meditations and channeled guidance. And I'm all about getting you to a place where you know how to root down and fire up with me, and you know how to do it on your own, and you reach an entirely new level of spiritual consciousness and a higher frequency, and that's where you're going to do your most divine work and be your best self. So if you're ready for that, it is on my website. It is freaking amazing. Those of you that are women that want to transform and break out of the old way of doing things, to break into a new you where you're making your own rules, I have a year-long Break the Rules Challenge that is on my website, drkarin.com. It's DOCTORKARIN.com. And it is amazing. It's kick-ass. It talks about how to be a spiritual badass. And yeah, I'm cussing up a storm because I am trying to make you feel empowered. I feel empowered. I loved creating that course because it's all about breaking out of the old paradigm of pain and suffering and fear and getting into this new paradigm. I mean, we're having a very big cultural shift as a nation, as a culture right now. And this is going to help you find your empowered self. So check it out on my website. Today, we're going to talk about how to deal with negative people. So let's first talk about how you know that you're having a negative experience with somebody. So I know someone came up for you when I mentioned this topic. You know, you think about it, I know who they are in my life, like those people that just like anything they say, you're like, oh my gosh, do you have anything nice you can say? Or people that tend to be really judgmental. Gabby Bernstein has an amazing book out right now called Judgment Detox. And I think, again, it's something that we vibrationally are moving away from. And once we can make the choice to move away from judgment, we create such a clearer way of functioning in the world, but you can only control you, right? We can't control everybody else. So there are some people that are still living in this paradigm of fear, and when they see you maybe doing something they don't agree with, or they're afraid that you're shining too brightly, or somehow you're breaking out of the mold that they want you to fit in, they can be judgmental, or you're not performing up to their standards, or maybe you're meeting your own needs and not theirs, and they have something to say to you, and that's an attempt to shame you because their vibration has dropped, okay? And so what they want to do psychologically is try to drop yours. So by responding to them and dwelling on the negative statements and the negative energy they are giving to you, you're actually giving your power away. And who wants to give your power to those people and their words and their energy? No. So the minute that you start to have a knee-jerk response to somebody that is talking to you, speaking to you, interacting with you, having a cycle of negative energy with you, remember that you are giving them your power. So to take your power back, we want to bring you to a place of higher frequency. Now let's just address how we know we're having a negative experience. So when you're interacting with somebody and what they say to you makes you angry, makes you feel small, makes you feel like you need to change something about yourself, that's a contracting feeling. And your spiritual GPS, your emotions are going to tell you this doesn't feel good. So your higher self knows that you're not supposed to live a life or reside in a place where you don't feel good. And so it tells you, I don't feel good. So that is a clue that you need to move away from the situation or the person or the experience that you're having. That's your spiritual GPS saying this isn't good for us. We're meant to align with places that make us feel expanded and good about life. And so when you feel bad about something someone's saying, that is your signal to disengage, okay? So I want to talk to you about when you feel good. The opposite is when you're around people that build you up, your tribe, your people that understand you and that want to expand you. I love how that rhymes. They understand and expand you. They want to make you feel powerful, and they're not threatened by anything that you're doing. And, when people are threatened, that's because they are coming from fear and they're having a life experience where there's an insecurity or lack of confidence. And that is something they're going to project on you. So this is a Psychology 101. People will project on you the way they feel about themselves, okay? And they're going to try to disturb your inner peace. So if they're walking through life feeling fear, feeling like the other shoe's going to drop, feeling like they're not good enough, they're going to subconsciously project that onto you. So when you say something that they may not agree with, instead of people like that are in your tribe that are supportive might say, Okay, well, try that. See if it works for you. They're going to say, oh gosh, aren't you worried about this? Or why do you have to be so that? Or, oh, I'm not sure. Like, are you sure that's going to happen? That's going to work? Like, they're going to try to bring you down to the vibration that they reside in. Okay, so that's a natural human tendency. That's psychological. That's like old fashioned from old school therapy sessions that we know. It's called projection. So we don't want people projecting their shit on you, all right? So here's the deal. You don't have control over what they're saying to you, how they're reacting. You'll never have control of all those other people, but you have control over what's going to stick to you, how much Velcro you're going to have, emotional Velcro you're going to have, and how much you're going to proceed from a place that matches either the vibration you want to be, which is higher, or the vibration they're coming from. So I want to talk to you about vibration here. There is this this alpha omega resonance vibrational scale right here that has to do with where you're coming from. So there is a place of the highest place you can reside is enlightenment, and it's a 700, and the lowest place you can reside is guilt and shame, and that's a 20 or a 30, okay? 20 or a 30. You are not meant to reside in guilt and shame. That is not what your soul was put here for. That's the lowest vibrational point. You literally contract into such a small space, and you want to live in a big space. So if you're anger and you're starting to feel angry and courageous and a little more bold, like sharing your truth with somebody, you're actually vibrating up around a 150 to a 200. Like that's halfway there. So actually anger is a good thing. So if you start to get mad, like wait, don't respond yet, but that's getting your power back. What we want to get you to is responding from a place of acceptance, which is a 350, reason is a 400, and ultimately love, joy, and peace, which is a 5 and a 600, okay? If you can respond from a place of total neutrality and peace at a 600, like you're pretty much Buddhist. So we want to get you up the scale of vibration. So how do we do that? So immediately, the very first thing, the number one thing you've got to do is disengage. Like, do not respond immediately. And a lot of this is happening nowadays over text. It used to be emails. Now it's texting, And so I've had to tell myself not to text. If you can wait an entire night, that would be my very first piece of advice for you, because all of you that are listening, you're here because you're trying to expand to a higher consciousness. And my guess is that you probably have a spiritual practice. And when you sleep on things, you can find yourself in a higher vibration than when you initially get triggered, okay? Because when we get triggered, what's happening is we're being sent back to something from our childhood usually that represents a place where we want to fight or flight. Like maybe someone hurt us really badly, or maybe we've always had to kind of fight for who we are. And so we get taken back to a low vibrational place that is that place of fear or anxiety about our past. And we want a knee-jerk reaction based on that. It's usually inner child stuff. And so we want to get you back to where you're in your present higher self moment that knows the answers, that are coming from a place that are more accepting, that, work through the anger and come to a place that is more from the vibration of love, right? So there are only two real feelings in the world, and they are fear and love. Mary Ann Williamson teaches this. And when you're operating out of the root of fear, low vibration contraction. When you're operating out of the root of love, that is expansion. Now, I'm not saying that you have to forget crappy things people say to you, or move forward as if they're right or anything like that. You definitely need to speak your truth and stand your ground, but it needs to be out of a place of intention of love. So intention is the key word here, and motive and your motive. So when you're stopping and taking the time that you need, at least an hour before you respond, preferably overnight, we want to look at motive and intention. So I want you to stop and just sit down. This is what I do. And I say to myself, Karin, why are you really going to say this? Because you get determined. You're like, no, I'm right. And I want to say this and I want to say that. And it's like, all right, what's your motive? If your motive is to make them feel smaller, if your motive is to get them back, if your motive is to shame them like they have you, then you're coming from a low vibration. And here's the prediction of what will happen, 100% sure, is you will get another response that matches that vibration, and you have expanded the existence of this low vibrational communication interaction existence that you're in, because you have added to it, okay? So anything that has the intention to shame, put into guilt, diminish, or try to win over, that's ego, the other person. Now, ego can come in here and help you to find your truth and help you to get through that anger phase. Like, you know what, that person better damn well stop doing that to me because this and this, and I've been working on this and they're not right and they always say that kind of stuff to me. Get mad for a little bit. And then, as you process through that and as you hopefully sleep on it, or at least take your hour or two, sit down and just say, okay, how can I come from a place of love with this? And love means love for you, okay? Self-love. What do you want the outcome to be in this situation? We don't want you to want the outcome to for you to win. That's ego-based. That's fear-based because there's a fear of losing, that you have to win the argument. Instead, it is clarifying your truth and just saying, I'm going to stand in my truth here, and I'm going to clarify who I am, and I'm going to come from a vibration of love for you because I'm not going to try to shame you, and love for me because I'm going to declare my truth now. That's from a place of love, an intention of also compassion, okay? So as a therapist, I know, and I'm teaching my kids this, and I'm teaching you, we can always take a step back and just have compassion. Like, I have someone in my life that's very fear-based, and that person's always coming at me with fear-based responses. I have another person that's very victim-based, and when I'm in my highest self, I can step back, even though I can get so angry, and I can have a moment where I can say, okay, like, you pull up, pull away, pull out of the anger, and see the bigger picture, which is also your past and that person's past. And to know that that person probably suffered a great deal in their past to bring them to where they have responsiveness the way that they do, and have compassion for the fact that they're bringing this storyline into this interaction with you. And wow, that's like super sad. The fact that that person, has been victimized, but you choose not to live in that place of victimization. You choose not to live in a place where you're fear-based. You choose to live in a place where you know things are going to work out for you. So I feel bad that they're not, but here's the deal. I can leave them there. I'm not sent here to heal them. I can offer them love. And if they want to talk to me about how I'm doing what I'm doing, then of course I'll share, part of my joy with them and part of my steps with them of how I've gotten to this place. But for now, I'm not going to come meet you where you are. I'm going to stay where I am. And that's the biggest piece of power that you can have, because if you meet them where they are, you are giving them the power, okay? If you if you demand of yourself, really, to stay in the place that you are, and you set this intention for yourself, you are taking the power back for yourself. Not that you're taking it away from them because you want to beat them or anything, but you're not letting them suck your power away, okay? You've got these like vampire relationships where people can suck your power away, and you know it because you always feel just like powerless over them, and you always feel angry and frustrated. It's this high point of frustration. So if you're staying in a place of keeping your power and keeping your intention of a high vibrational response, you're in control. And that is what's going to help you feel more confident. But not in a place, again, that's about getting them back, in a place that's like, this is who I am. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know where I stand. So I know that I'm doing this, whatever the person's speaking out against. I know why I'm here. I know what my service is. I know that I feel okay about it, and it's okay if you don't. But here's what I'm going to say back to you. Now, here's another. To stay in the high frequency, we're trying to find a response that's not based in fear, but one that's based in as much love as you can find. At least find neutrality. At least find a place of where you can accept that you both see things differently, and that you're going to stand in who you are. Okay, so when we respond, we're going to do another little psychology 101 here. Respond with I statements, okay? That stays away from accusing the other person of being wrong. When you start responding to somebody like, you always do this to me, why do you have to say this? And would you know what you did the other day, or whatever you want to say, when you start doing that, you're dropping the vibration of the conversation again, because you're accusing the other person of doing things, and that's going to put them in an automatic defense mode, where they're going to be like, all right, what punch can I swing next? How can I knock you out as much as you're knocking me out? And even though it may be extremely valid what you're saying, and that there may be a lot of truth in it, that's not up to you to judge them, all right? It's not up to you to go after them, because the more you do that, the more you're increasing this pattern, the more you're increasing the likelihood it's just going to continue. You're actually creating more of what you don't want, okay? And it's guaranteed it will continue, okay? So we're going to come at the response from a place of I. So if you're super close to the person and want to express your feelings, you just start with the word I, and leave the word you out as much as possible, okay? So it sounds like this. So say somebody's condemning the fact that you're going on a trip instead of like showing up for work or whatever, but the trip is going to be super expanding, and maybe this person is judging that you're not following through with your commitments at work or whatever it is, but you feel really good and this is the right choice. And you're angry because this person's maybe done other things wrong to you, and you want to immediately attack them because maybe they're not doing their job enough, or like maybe they're always negative. So you say back something like, after you've taken your time, I really am doing things these days that make me feel really, really good. And this decision makes me feel really good. And I understand, that there could be different opinions on this. Hear how I'm not using the word you. I understand how people might view this differently. And I understand that, some people might look at this like I am not following through with like being as productive as I could. But this feels really good to me and I have to follow the way I feel. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. I don't want to discuss this anymore with anyone. I feel really good about it. And, I'm sorry that we had this disagreement, but I'm keeping things the way they are. All right. I need to go. Bye-bye. You can walk away from the conversation without asking for responses, and you can say no, and it can be a complete sentence, and you can just stand your ground. And that lets the person know, like, your opinion is not allowed into my frame. You can have it, and I understand that it's there, and I validate that it's different. But you know what? I actually feel really good about it. And by saying things like that, you're also expanding the confidence that you have around the decision that you're making to go in the direction that you're going. And you're expanding the expansion around it. So it's great to start with these I statements, and it's something, once you practice it, you'll become really, really good at it. And it automatically diffuses the cycle of argument between people, which is super low vibrational, okay? So I also want you to understand that you can't control how the other person's going to continue to react, okay? They may still come at you with things, but there's another technique called the broken record technique, where you say this person's just continuously coming after you. Maybe it's someone you work with, maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a family member, and you're just like, it doesn't matter what I do, like this is a perpetual pattern. It's pervasive. It's like a streamline that keeps showing up and keeps showing up. The way to break things like that is by using what's called the broken record technique, which, how a record would skip and it would keep saying the same thing over and over again. Those of you that remember records from the old days, it's saying the same phrase back to the person when they come after you with their negativity. And again, think of an I statement. So that can be something like, God, I understand that you feel that way, but you know what? I feel really good about where I am. So I'm not going to talk about this anymore. Next time they come up, I understand that you feel differently than I do, but I honestly feel really good about where I am, so I'm not going to talk about this anymore. Next time they come up, yeah, I understand that you feel that way, but I feel really good about this, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore. It will reduce the likelihood that this person will continue to come back at you as often as they do, because they're going to get frustrated that you're going to keep saying the same freaking thing. It's going to drive them a little nuts. And when they send you an email, send them the exact cut and paste, the exact same text, okay? And this is not to make them mad. This is an example of you showing your concreteness, your confidence in where you stand, and that you're not going to engage. Because, once you engage in a negotiable conversation and you're negotiating points, you're already kind of losing. So you want to win by standing in your ground, standing in your confidence, because you know who you are. You know what you are. You know why you're making the choices that you're making. And just by having a simple response, I'm sorry you feel that way. I feel really good about this. And make it one sentence, okay? And keep using that response, cut and paste. Don't respond to the specifics they're sending you, because they will try to send you, what about this? What about that? And they'll start to go in different directions because they've been really used to, sparring with you. So I know I've had so many of these relationships. I'm a Leo. I'm super fiery. I actually really like to spar, but it always makes me angry because I have those certain people that, and you know who you are, that like it becomes a game of brinkmanship where like everybody wants to win and nobody's going to win because we just keep reenacting the same thing, different subject matter, but the same thing, and no one wins. So when I finally learned to stop engaging, and by just giving a simple like, but loving, I understand you feel that way, but I feel differently, and I'm not going to go there. And when things get super bad, like if you have a very, very toxic relationship with someone that's like sociopathic, or that you just know the energy is so different, you can just write back to them, you know what, I'm not going to engage in this conversation, period, from a place of love, not from a place of hate. No all caps, no exclamation points, okay? Because when you're doing that, the energy shifts. Just very gentle, I'm not going to engage in this conversation, I wish you well, period. And that is the response. And don't respond again to future needs of them to interact with you, because what need they're getting met is they're feeling more powerful, and they're getting control over you by engaging with you like that and getting you to interact with them, and it's making them suck your power away and making them have a false sense of control over you. And we don't want that, because we want you to keep your control. I want you to feel like you have all of your power. I want your aura to glow as big as it can glow. I want you to glow into a place of love and acceptance and peace, and not let anybody knock you off your rocker, not let anybody bring you down to a place of contraction, all right? So I've given you some great tips and tools for how to deal with negative people. And that the last thing I'm going to tell you is expectations, okay? We're not going to expect anything from them. We're going to expect that we're going to stand where we are. But if you can take the expectation piece out and the expectation that somehow they're going to change, you will so be winning also, because then you're not making your happiness or your contentment about the situation reliant on them. It's just reliant on the fact that you know who you are. No matter what they do later, no matter who they are, what their response is, that is their vibration is their responsibility. You're responsible for yours. And if we can keep you in a place where you have no expectations from them, that your response is solely based on the intention to stand solid in where you are, you will completely keep your vibration high if we remove the expectations. So no matter what happens, okay, no expectations, you're going to be good, all right? I've given you some great tips and tools for how to deal with negative people. We're going to keep you in a positive light. We're going to keep you feeling expanded and big and in a place of neutrality where like no one can rock your boat because you're so sure of where you stand. Remember, guys, always lead with your heart and you'll go in the right direction. See you later.